I've got contingencies. I've learned that in my career. You don't just say, no, I'm not going to do that, because frankly, it's your job. So if you're going to refuse something, you better have some backups. And I try to teach my students that too. If you're going to say no to something, you better have another option available so you can accomplish that task in a different manner, a safer manner. The worst, absolute worst one, personally, emotionally, and personally, that I felt, but I still, stand by the decision I made, was I was in California, and actually, it was really, the outcome was actually really positive, what ended up happening, but it was really horrible to live through, I'll tell you what. So we're night shift again. And we're on a one lane, it's 2 lanes, but it's so narrow, there's no shoulders or anything. And we had, our job description was, during the day, before it got dark at night, we were to scout the road to make sure, nothing's close to the road and stuff like that, and, make sure we see areas and stuff and keep it all within a certain place. Part of the fire had crossed the road, so it was fire on both sides. We were just to make sure that the fire wasn't going to get up and go somewhere it wasn't supposed to go. And then we have what are called like nuke zones, where it's just totally just burned to nothing almost. The trees are like sticks, the toothpicks sticking out of the ground. So it's like 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 or 5 in the morning. I mean, it's going to be light in like 45 minutes, but it's pitch black, no moon, nothing. We're in the nuke zone, and I get a call from my strike team leader. Or actually, he was Division Soup trainee. And so there's a stump on fire. It's about 300 feet inside the line. In the nuke zone, and it's so dark outside that even with the high-powered LED headlamps, we can't see the tops of the trees. I can see part way up the tree, but I cannot see the tops of the trees. And the ash is so thick, it's coming up to our knees when we're walking through it. It's very unstable footing, really difficult to see. Can't see the roots of the trees because they're covered in ash, so we don't know if the trees are, could fall on us. We can't see very far at all. And so he's like, he sees this big burning thing 300 feet in, and he wants us to go get it. Immediately I'm like, okay, whoa. We haven't been in there. Nobody's been in there. This is the nuke zone, so the value at risk is like minimum. There's like nothing at risk at this point. It's probably a big old pitch stump on fire. And we can't see the trees to see if they're going to, at night, we can hear them falling. And it's like, but you can't see them. So he was very insistent that at least we check it out. So I'm like, okay. So I had a faller, Class B faller with me. And I took him in with me so he could at least look at some of the trees that we could see, and stuff. And I asked him his opinion. Even though he was a crew person, and it was actually his first year working with me, I recognized his qualifications as being higher than mine as far as trees were concerned, because that was my big concern. We get in there, and sure enough, it's a pitch stump. It's a ginormous tree, and it's actually a tree that's been broken off. And when it broke off and fell down, this created this big, huge chimney effect. There's a little bit of like green brush by it, but it's in the middle of the nuke zone and it's not going anywhere. So both him and I talk a little bit, and we were like, okay, we need to get out of here. So we come out, and both of us decide that this is just not a safe place for us to be. So I use my IRPG and follow the guidelines to let him know, my Division Soup trainee, no, I don't feel comfortable accepting this assignment as is. If you are willing to wait, about 45 minutes, it's going to be light. I can go back in there. We can check it out. I would feel more comfortable if I could see it during the day. It doesn't look like there's going to be any, major impact to anything. It doesn't look like it's going to go anywhere. Granted, my vision's limited because I can only see as far as my light will let me. And he said, and I quote, "You sit right here on the curb, dearie. I'm going to go get somebody with more experience." And he made me sit like a little child in the corner on the curb in front of my crew until another engine arrived. And by the time the next engine arrived, it was daylight. So they, of course, had no problem accepting the assignment, and they went in and took care of it. And he made me sit there until they were finished and done. And fortunately, though, they are, so first of all, I felt really like this big, which unfortunately happens to me quite often. I look really young. I don't look like I'm supposed to be running an engine most of the time. I'm smiley, I'm happy, I love being there. I'm the person in the morning, woohoo, good morning, because I love my job. It happens to me often where people treat me in a certain manner. I have been asked for my red card, even though my name is in the IAP. I've had people say, "You're letting your engine boss sleep in this morning, huh? Huh, sweetie?" And no, I'm the engine boss. No, you can tell us. You don't have to lie to us. No, really, I'm the engine boss. Can we see your quals? Can we see your red card? I've had that happen to me too. And so is my little sister. We've had that happen a lot. And so in this case, though, because you're required to report if an assignment is turned down to whoever accepts the assignment as well as your superior, this trainee was required to report to his division soup, the guy who was training him, the situation. So he shows up, and I'm still sitting on the curb. And he comes over, and it was very friendly, very nice, and he asked me, very frankly, what had happened. And I explained the situation to him. And the way he chose to deal with it is actually that trainee was removed from the trainee position. He was then sent back to do additional training to continue to be able to do that position. But for that assignment, he was actually removed as the trainee, which I can't say I wasn't happy that the guy, obviously, he really wanted to be in that position. And so, I wish that he had handled it a little differently. But I was pleased to see that they weren't going to allow something like that to happen, regardless of whether I was a guy or a girl or whatever. But I can't help to wonder if I was a guy, if he would have treated me the same way. And so, yeah, that was probably one of the most embarrassing things I've had to deal with, personally, because he didn't do that privately. He scolded me very publicly in front of my crew that I was working with, and that was rough. But I did stand by what I thought was important, and I use it as teaching in my class because I had that experience. I'm able to remind my students that, listen, no matter the personal cost, when nothing is worth the life of one of your crew members. So even if you have to bite the bullet and be embarrassed, it's worth it, because the fact is that's their life, and that's your life, and nothing's more important than that.